Frustrations. Let's talk about the water cut. We'll go day by day, what I did, how I did it, the effect it had, the things that happened during it that are outside of my control. If you can hear my coughing son in the background and my sniffling, these are things that happen. So, I went into this, my base weight before I started this, 222 to 225 on a given day. I did not need to water cut to 220. I could have just, dropped a little bit of carbs, done a longer fast going into the weigh-in. But I wanted to experience a water cut in its totality, so that I could not only explain it to you guys, but it's something I am going to get back into coaching. And that's a tool I wanted to have in my toolbox that I could potentially help lifters with. So I went, above and beyond what I needed to make the weight. Anyway, so again, base weight, 222, 225, around there. The Sunday before weigh-ins, so that's when I started sodium and water loading. Typically, on Saturdays and Sundays, I eat a little bigger than I do Monday through Friday, just because those are my two biggest training days. And as such, I drink more water those days as well anyway, because also they're my big training days and I'm eating more. So it only makes sense. But I intentionally made sure to drink at least 3 gallons of water. I would estimate I drink around 2 gallons of water a day without trying. I love drinking water. I like staying hydrated. It's delicious. I don't know what to tell you, but yeah. So I intentionally upped the sodium, upped the water on Sunday, and I think Sunday morning I was 231. From Saturday, again, big eating day. I wasn't intentionally sodium or water loading Saturday, but I'm sure, again, because those are my typical big days, that it played some part. But Sunday I definitely made sure to, with the sodium and the water, not as much food as I would typically eat on a Sunday, because the weigh-in was coming. Monday morning I weighed 226, and I started reducing. I went carbs, sodium, and fiber. Which Monday I did a 24-hour fast. I always fast on Sunday evening to Monday evening anyway, so I only had one meal Monday. I made this concoction. It was not pleasant. It was unseasoned ground beef, cream of rice, and like a half a serving of beef stock, just so I could have a little bit of flavor in there. I know beef stock has some sodium in it, but that was literally, that half serving of beef stock was the only sodium I had for the day. So yeah, that was, and even, coming off a 24-hour fast, I wasn't even looking forward to eating that. But yeah, that's what I had. So Tuesday morning I was like 222. And of course I drank 3 gallons of water Monday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 gallons of water each day. Probably a little bit more. I forced myself to drink 3 gallons, like out of a jug that I could measure, and then I had some cups of water here and there. So even more than 3 gallons of water each day. Tuesday, Wednesday, I also took Miralax, Tuesday morning and Wednesday morning. It's a stool softener just to help get everything out. That's why I dropped the fiber. Fiber does help, your digestive system. However, fibrous foods can take longer to digest, and they sit in there longer. So just in an effort to try to get as much out as I could and not have anything sitting in there, I reduced the sodium and the fiber as well. I think I had 2 pounds of non-fat Greek yogurt Tuesday, and another one of those beef cream of rice unseasoned concoctions. Fucking miserable. Wednesday morning I was 219, so already at weight. And again, I did not have to go beyond, but I wanted to for the experience. And again, same thing. I had 2 pounds of Greek yogurt, and that same concoction again Wednesday. Thursday morning, I was 214. So this is the day before weigh-ins. I had like a liter of water Thursday morning, and an energy drink. Unfortunately, our pet, our dog Luke Hang, he's about 20 years old, and he had been declining fast. We had him since '09. We got him from the shelter. They estimated he was between 3 and 6 years old based on his dental records at the time. He tried to hold out, but he was done. He was miserable. His back legs had stopped working. His eyes were cloudy. He couldn't hold his bowels, and we had to have him put down Thursday morning. And it sounds selfish even saying this, in relation to the cut, because these two things don't compare, but it was part of it. I cried like a little fucking baby at the veterinary's office. Already being water depleted. That's more salt water coming out of your eyes. Snot mucus coming out of your nose. I was getting cramps in there with my wife. Like I was constantly having to move positions, sitting, waiting. They gave him an anesthesia shot about 15 minutes before, the kill shot, for lack of a better term. I don't know what they call it. And, we were in that little room with him spending our last moments for about, 45 minutes. And, that was rough. And like I said, I was getting cramps and stuff, along with the emotional distress that comes with putting down your pet. So, that's one of those uncontrollable variables. Life happens when it happens. And, you gotta roll with it. So that sucked. It sucked. But yeah, and so that, and Thursday evening, what I did, so I consulted with an expert. I have an expert friend. His name is Dr. Derek Wilcox. He works with Renaissance periodization. He's done many a water cut. He actually charges people. He'll coach you through a water cut. I will put links to him below. He does one-to-one coaching as well. Diet, nutrition, training, all of that stuff. I can't recommend him enough. But I talked to him and I asked him about eating in relation to this. I told him, I said, hey, I'm gonna be well below my weight class. I'm not worried about that, but just for kind of posterity's sake here, if I were to eat something before weigh-ins, I asked him, like, the volume of the food that I'm eating. That is literally all, because I'm not taking any liquids in or anything. That's the only weight that's going to be added to me, right? And he confirmed that, and I kind of already knew that, but I wanted expert confirmation. So I had a whole thing of rice cakes for the carbs, and on these, the weight, it's 4.5 ounces basically for two of these sleeves. All everything in there, 4 ounces. So that's only 4 ounces going to be added to you, and they're not very calorie dense. But he recommended. I was thinking potato chips, right? Because carbs, sodium, very calorically dense. He recommended rice cakes and jam, and I hadn't thought of that. And the jam is very calorie dense. The rice cakes not so much, and there's not as much sodium in rice cakes as there is in potato chips, but you can add salt to the jam, which is what I did. So I had a sleeve of those and some jam. The whole container of jam was 18 ounces. And of course I didn't have any liquids, and I had some salt on the jam. And that's all the possible weight that could be added. And I still floated off some weight during the night. So I woke up Friday morning, day of, I was 212.8 on my scale. And like I said, I had eaten the rice cakes and jam and salt. And I ended up being 212.4 on the official scale. So, that from basically 222 to 225 down to 212, you're talking 12 to 13 pounds or 10 to 13 pounds, which is, roughly that 5-6% area, which is typical of a water cut. And that's without any sauna, without any sweating, without any spitting. That was purely just a flush of the water. I ate 18 ounces of jam. with the 4 ounces of rice cakes. So what's that, 20? You're looking at like a pound and a half there. So I could have potentially even been like 211 maybe. But I wanted to have that experience too of having some food without the liquid, and have it ready to absorb that liquid the next day when you do start to rehydrate. So obviously the first part, even with having to put my dog down and stuff, was success, huge success. I flushed the water from my system. One thing I want to tell you guys, like I said, I was cramping, in there crying with my wife and, putting our dog down. Like just moving around, being that dehydrated, you can almost feel your calves on the verge of cramps all the time. And you're aware of your movements. You're not overextending. You're not accidentally flexing or doing anything too tightly, because you're hyper aware of how little water is in your system and how easy it would be. You feel like you're on the verge of a cramp with a lot of your movements. So keep that in mind. So after the weigh-ins, I had a pre-made concoction that I put in a shaker cup, and I didn't measure these out exact, but it was roughly by part, it was roughly 1/4 cranberry juice, unsweetened cranberry juice. I would actually recommend like cranberry cocktail here, but I had unsweetened cranberry juice on hand. It was 1/4 that, about 1/2 Pedialyte, unflavored Pedialyte, and then another 1/4 water, and then I put 2 teaspoons of salt. And then I took a bottle of honey and I just turned it in there and squeezed the fuck out of it. And there was a lot of honey. Like, I don't know. I didn't measure, but I just sat there and I squeezed the ever-loving shit out of it. And I shook that up, and I had it pre-made the night before and ready to go. And after weigh-ins, I slowly sipped on it on my way home. Before I started, drinking anything else or eating anything else. I just, in my mind, there were, that had, electrolytes, sodium, liquid, carbs, glycogen, all the things I had depleted myself of in concentrated form, putting back into my body before anything else. I didn't get this recipe from anybody. This is some things I had on hand, some things I thought about, and something I figured I would try. So yeah, I had that there. And then basically during the day, I just focused on sodium, carbs, and water. Getting these in mass quantities. Again, I weighed 212.4 that morning. I saw 232 on my scale that day from refeeding and drinking, and like I said, sodium and carbs. I had some bacon with pancakes drenched in syrup, some eggs, a ribeye steak with a lot of salt on it, potato chips. What else did I had some rice that I had heavily salted. I know I'm missing something here. I had some watermelon that I put salt and honey on. I ate a couple pickles just for the sodium. I know those are lower calorie. What else? What the fuck else did I'm having a brain fart right now. Anyway, it was very, very sodium, carb, and liquid heavy, because that's what I needed to replenish. Me and my son went out that evening for dinner, and I got some sushi, and I drank like 6 cups of water with my 2 sushi rolls. And I was already stuffed to the brim at that point, but, is what it is. I woke up the next morning at 228, the day of the competition. So, being 212 the day before and 228 the next day, I did okay with the rehydrating and refeeding, obviously. My appetite is fucking unlimited. This is why I was 300 pounds for so long. Even training as hard as I do, I'm not training harder than I did before. I'm just eating less. And that's how you stay 300 pounds while training hard, doing cardio, is just having this fucking limitless appetite. But anyway, the meat came. The actual meat video is going to be later. My man Ty is going to help me. We're going to do a little fancy edited video. But my goal was 2 times body weight on the platform, which, in powerlifting, it goes by, what you weighed in at. So it was based on that 212. So I had to bench to 424 or better. 407 was my opener. 429 was my second. I hit that. I missed 440. Had I not gone full send with the water cut, I could have stayed right there at 219 and not gone deep into that water cut. And I probably would have benched 440 just fine. But this was more about the water cut for me. And I knew I had double body weight in the bag with that low weigh-in. And it still would have been double body weight at 219. But I really wanted the experience. Again, meat video later. Yeah, my son. Okay, this is another one of those uncontrollable variables. Had the sniffles, had a cough all week long. He had to stay home from school Friday because it had gotten too bad. And that was, I had taken a vacation day for Friday. I was just going to kick it at home and rest and, refeed and all that stuff, which I still got to refeed and everything. But, having a sick kid with me, you can hear it in me now. I don't know how much this played into my performance. The weights definitely felt heavy. I can't say for certain that it wasn't, the water cut itself and the refeed, rehydrate. I feel like I did pretty good just based on the number on the scale. But, that certainly could and probably did have some effect on my performance. Being sick now, not to make excuses. I'm sure that this probably had some effect on my performance as well. I had planned on, 440 was going to be my conservative third, 200. And then if the day was great, 205, like 451, I was going to do that. And I felt fairly confident that that would be there too. Warm-ups, I didn't really know how they felt, which was, kind of off. And when I hit my opener, I knew it felt a little heavy. And then the 429 second, it looked good on camera. It's on my Instagram. But I felt pushing through that sticking point. It felt heavier than I thought it would. And I called 200 because that was, I didn't really need the 197 and a half. That wasn't going to do nothing for me. And I knew 200 was going to be a crapshoot. It was going to be a 50-50. That our flight was extremely long. Like it took an hour just for our bench press flight. Our bench only was in the same flight. There was 9 of us. There was quite a few geared lifters in it, which makes it take a lot longer. It was like 20 minutes, 23 minutes between attempts. So that was weird. I'd never gone that long in between attempts. This is, not to get off the water cut part of things too much, but this is why powerlifters, we differentiate platform PRs from, just in the gym PRs, because these are the variables that you can't change. You can't, it's on the day. You pick the day well ahead of time, whether you feel good, whether you feel shitty, you got to perform on that day. You don't know how long you're going to wait between attempts. You don't get to pick your favorite song, all this and all that. So that's how that went. All in all, the water cut was a success. I feel confident going into the future, helping other people with this. Like I said, without getting too extreme, 3 to 5% body weight is about what you're looking at, depending upon your size and stuff too. And I was right there at that 5% threshold without going, really deep into extremes. So I know this was pretty long-winded. A lot of you probably aren't here no more. But this is as concise as I could make it without missing any information. And I probably still miss some information. But for those handful of you on my channel that this may apply to one day, I hope that this may help you. Peace.